Oh,
Hello, everybody. Slightly Slanted Sleuth, and I'm here with Danny D. Danielle D. She's an empath, a uh, a helper to all humanity, and she's here to discuss tonight merging of reality, what we think is merging of reality. But why don't you go ahead and tell people about yourself, there, Danny?
hi. Um, well, I've been on this path since I've been a little kid, trying to figure out what's going on. I guess I've always known that there's other things, there's more to life than what we can see. Um, I can see through the dimensions, I guess. Um, and I think, like all of us, we're seeing there's a bleed through of the dimensions. So we're starting to see, entities or other realities bleeding to this reality. Um, so I'm here to talk about that.
Cool, great. Yeah, the reason why I asked you to do a show with me is because of your incredible insight as to, our paradigm, and you've pretty much you've established, in my mind at least, that I'm not just lunatic like a lot of people would think, or my wife would
Yeah,
think, or so
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna admit the first time I seen your comments, I was like, holy cow, somebody's crazier than me.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Usually people do.
Yeah,
I like
but
to. I don't really have many friends to talk about this stuff with, and I guess I've met some people through YouTube, but my only way to express myself is making comments on YouTube videos, and I've been kicked out of a few groups, let's say, with my
you know,
crazy views.
well, I know exactly how that is. I've committed YouTube suicide on several channels for voicing my views, and
Yeah,
I, I say that's why my channel hasn't grown as much as it probably should have, because I've cut my nose off my face several times. You know,
yeah. Well, it's
go ahead.
okay because there's a lot of people that are just saying BS,
Yes.
not really searching for the truth, but just saying what's popular. What's the most extreme view, just to get subs, and
Right.
they don't really care much about reality. And that's why I get in trouble because I, tell them that they're full of shit, and nobody nobody
I
likes
love
to
that.
hear that.
Right, and we've come to a part in our reality road that dictates whether we're going to stand alone in the truth, or we're going to stand together in bullshit. And you know what? I didn't bring my hip
Yeah,
waders, so I want to stand in the truth.
yeah, right.
And I'd rather stand alone than be a part of nonsense. And I think that's a lot of people on my channel, subs anyway, especially
Mhm,
you, people like you, like me.
mhm.
There's a few in the chat right now. Eye of the Sky Wolf, We Stone. She's an excellent example. My Sky's 5D. He's an excellent example.
Oh yeah, I like him.
And we got Luna Bell. Hi Luna, how are you? We got Eric Love and Australian School of Esoterica. His name is it Andrew? I hope I got that right. But yeah, these guys so far that I've mentioned, they're all in line with, that we're merging. And so when you were a child, you were speaking to me earlier about, you know, the spectrum, or the autistic spectrum, or the spiritually gifted spectrum. Why don't you enlighten us a little bit on that?
Yeah,
On,
I think there's a lot of kids nowadays, they're quick to hand out labels of, this or that mental illness or autistic spectrum or ADHD. And I think that it's more that these people are sensitive, they can see through the layers of reality. I mean, I see. the dimensions kind of stacked together, kind of lined up, like you say, like a Russian doll, you know,
Yeah, a
stacked
fractal
on
and a
top of each
fractal.
other. Yeah,
Yep.
and some people can see into that in different ways, and um, they just don't look at reality the same as the average Joe or whatever, and they're given labels by people that don't understand how they think, but in
Yeah,
reality
you
they're
said
just
that you.
seeing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done
Oh
talking.
yeah, I think they're just seeing through these different realities. Like I used to stare out and look at patterns, like just look at patterns within patterns within patterns. And once you focus on that, I could start kind of tuning into other people's thought forms and energy waves. And, you know, I remember sitting there in school and I wouldn't pay attention to anything that was being taught. I mean, to me, that like the schoolwork was kind of stupid. It wasn't like it was hard. It was just kind of memorizing letters and pictures, and I just hurried
Hmm.
up in my stuff, and then I would just kind of space out and kind of tap into other people's thought waves and patterns, and you know
Did you
pretty
ever
soon.
detect anybody knowing that you were doing that, or was it just a one-way
Oh
street?
no, I think it was a one-way street. But I've heard my kids, when my kids were little, I think they could sense that stuff because they would say, how come other people can't hear what I'm thinking? Like I can hear them. And
Really?
yeah,
Did you encourage that in your own children?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
I,
I
I
mean,
raised them crazy.
nice. But hey, there's nothing wrong with crazy as long as it's right.
Yep.
That's awesome. And the reason why I asked you that is because I used to. Well, just recently, my son he comes to me and he says, "Dad, when I go to sleep at night, I hear voices." You know, and
Yeah. Mhm.
and I said maybe that's because you're connected to the akashic a little more than most people. And
Yeah, I
what are
think that's it.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think people just some people see things like I can see better than I can hear. That's why I paint, more when I see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's other people hear. It's like clairaudience, I don't know all the technical
Mm-hmm.
words. Some people feel, they have feel things brushing by them, or I think there's just different levels of sensitivity. And I think, like you were saying, when you feel truth, you get the chills.
The goosebumps. Yep.
Yeah,
Some people call them the chill bumps. Some people call them
yeah,
chicken skin or goose skin. Or you're smoking a
yeah.
vape, huh? You're not scared of popcorn lung?
Yeah, probably. I just started. I eat too much candy, so I got some kind of candy flavor, and I started doing this instead of eating candy all night.
So you weren't a smoker before that?
No,
Wow. And are you smoking vape with nicotine in it?
yeah, a low level of nicotine.
Oh. I see you got a tattoo on your chest. What is that? The tree of life?
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's cool. I
yeah, I
like
just
that.
got that this summer.
I've got a tattoo, and it started out of all things a heart with a cross going through. The heart around the cross. Or
Hmm.
in the cross. Like the cross in the circle, and that's you know. Let's get into that. The whole black hole thing. I had posted a couple videos a while back about when I was excited about the black hole and my epiphany that I had that it's the structure of everything, and that's what dictates the worlds within worlds, the wheels within wheels, and the cycles and whatnot. And you had made comments that you had stood on the precipice of black holes in your visions and stuff.
Yeah, that's when I first met you, and I was like, that was shortly after I had that vision, and then I saw your show, and I was like, I bet you that's what I was seeing. because I
Yeah.
don't even know, sometimes I see things but I don't know what I'm seeing.
Right.
But it
Go
was
ahead.
the
I'm sorry.
same. It was, the pretty much the same thing that you have. I don't know. It's like a black hole with grid lines on it, and there was a sun on the other side of it, and like the Earth was kind of centered down into it, and then space curved up, so we weren't really seeing what reality was because space was curved in a sense that you couldn't see past the curvature. Um, and then there was a dragon that was in, there was like this, the hole, and there was this dragon that was coming in and out of the hole. And then there was a sun on the other end of it, and a voice said, um, that you need to get people are getting their uh, gardens ready for winter because the sun is going to come up through the pit or through the hole. And I didn't understand. I don't know what that means,
I think
but it's
when you said that to me, I think that's the meaning of the second coming of the Son of Man, and that's my opinion.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because that I looked down into it because at first I was just looking, the earth was set up kind of in, right in the center of it, not down in the hole, but just, kind of just around the tip of it.
mhm.
And what was that? The plane that you talk about? The
Yeah,
plane
the
of
plane of
inertia?
inertia, the plane of inertia,
Yeah.
where the conjugate nature of the black hole comes together into one.
Yeah, and everything there was like a grid line and every,
Hmm.
people were set up and they had their own little grid space. So I think that's why, people get into the round earth and flat earth. I think it's both, I think that I mean the earth is round. I mean that's kind of a proven fact, but I think that when physics is concerned, it's like we live on the plane of inertia,
Yes,
you
I
know.
think that's why the galaxy is depicted as it is. Who knows if we'll ever see a real picture of it, but I believe that's why,
Yeah.
everything in our paradigm is a belt or the asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt. So yeah, that makes total sense. And,
Yeah, so I think it's kind of just both. It's kind of how you look at it. And like you
well,
said, it doesn't really matter.
right, it doesn't matter if we're in a pickle jar underneath a fake fridge light in a fake fridge in a fake dimension somewhere because we're all here together.
Right.
So what's the sense of arguing about it? And
Yeah, people get so upset about that, and it's like, why? You know?
right. And their argument is if you don't know where you're at, how can you fight? How can you fight the tyranny that is against you? And what do you say about that? All of that stuff, like the I don't know, the negative part of our paradigm, because there's obviously a negative front there. But what is your take on that? I've never really asked you that, so this is the first time I'm going to hear you say how you
Um,
feel about.
I think that there's two sides. Like when I was younger, I just every night had nightmares that there was like a double side to existence, that there was kind of a light side and then like an anti side, you know, and that the darkness tried to copy everything from the light. And that the darkness has, hijacked all the sacred symbols and, everything
Yeah,
that was sacred.
that's
And,
awesome.
and so people look at now they see those symbols and they think that they're evil, but they're not evil, that they were just hijacked, you
Yes,
know, that
I got
core,
goosebumps. You're giving me
at their core
goosebumps.
essence, yeah, at their core essence, they're truth, it's
Hmm.
what's real. It's just like you have to get over the illusion, and it's all just your personal perspective. It's whether you're gonna, you know, fall for the lie or, see the truth. And I mean, I don't like to get all into hailstones and brimstones and the end of the world. And, you know, like you said, I guess if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I think we're probably at the precipice of something. I mean, there's some kind of change stirring.
Yes.
Um, and hopefully it's for the better. I think that the controlling factors are kind of running around like bugs right now. You know, you
Hmm.
look at the government shutdown and the chaos, and I would hope that there would be a breakdown of the control system so, you know, truth can start prevailing. But
Right.
the general population needs to quit holding on to these extreme fear ridiculousness, you know. I mean, there's
Hmm.
this huge like awake crowd, you know, everybody wants to say they're awake and you know, they want to separate from the controlling factions, but they're just going right along with the controlling factions by hanging on to all this fear crap, you
Yes.
know? I mean,
So do
why
you
don't we just
go
get
ahead?
over that? Just let's move on to, you know, focus on better things.
Or how about focusing on the now, what's in front of you,
Yeah,
what you can
yeah,
do
right.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, exactly. In your opinion, do you think this copy or the anti-light, I guess you called it, or
Hmm.
do you
Yeah.
think that there is a faction that created maybe a false matrix, or do you think we may be in a mirrored copy, or do you think this is the real deal and it's up to us and our thoughts to manifest a better reality, or you know what I'm getting at there by that question?
Yeah, I think we have to be in some kind of a copy. Um, yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is. Because all my research is leading me to nowhere, that to that word trapezium open star cluster, and everything's in the word. Their clues are, the words
Yeah,
are.
yeah, that's what I think. I think this has to be the copy.
Yes. So do you think there's okay, now I was watching this Bob Sanders. Do you know who that is?
I got kicked off of that commentary.
Oh, that's when yeah, that's right. Yeah, we both got censored. You see me get censored, and then you had to go and jump on my get censored
Yeah,
bandwagon. Yeah, that's one of the
yeah,
shows that cut my nose off my face. Yeah,
yeah.
and after
And
I got banned, I started typing in some nasty comments to the owner because he can read them, even if you're
oh,
clipped,
okay,
So I was just
right.
I was flooring him with some nastiness, and then I thought to
Yeah,
myself, wait a minute, I'm not doing any better than he's doing by doing that. So I
yeah,
apologized and I
that,
said, I'm sorry, man. You know,
yeah. I started getting angry too, and I have to watch. You know, there's no point. You're just kind of following your hook and bait if you're gonna let your emotions get the better of
right,
you. Because yeah,
right.
I had made some remarks, and then I noticed that they were censored, and then I started typing that I started really getting pissed off,
So did I.
because
So did I.
they're
So
trying to
much so
talk about.
I made that video the next day about it.
Yeah, yeah, because I hopped on right. I seen you were censored, and that's like right when I was like, oh, look at Slightly Slanted Sooth is on here, cool. And then I noticed you were censored, and then they started talking about like my bloodline and shit. It's like you guys don't even know what you're talking about. So I
Let's get into that right now,
started.
Danielle. Your bloodline? What are you talking about there?
Well, because they, on that particular show, they like to bring up the, I don't know if they call it the Illuminati bloodline or like the controlling elite bloodline,
The
they
RH
claim.
negative?
Well, it's like how all the presidents and kind of the ruling classes all come from one genetic line.
Oh,
They're
like the
all related.
Rothschilds and whatnot?
Yeah, they're all kind of have the same bloodline that can
Hmm.
be traced back to it's like this Germanic king line.
Hmm.
Um, so it goes through this Germanic king line, then went into France, which you did the show about that stone from France, which was interesting. But the Germanic bloodline was originally like they were called long-haired kings of renown, and they it was like a Scythian line, kind of like the fallen angel bloodline,
Hmm.
like they were partial giants, they
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
and they became popular because they would just wipe out everybody on the battlefield. They were, men of renown that they
Hmm.
talk about in fairy tales and stuff. So this Germanic bloodline then became the Merovingian kings in France, um, which is where the secret societies all kind of stem from, like the Rosicrucians and um, whatever kind of sprung out of that area.
Hmm.
And then that same bloodline, they went into the Merovingians kind of faded off, but then their relatives took over, and their relatives then became the ruling classes in every country, like the King of Scotland, the um, Queen of England, Russia, like basically all the ruling class stemmed off of that area. And they claim there's a book, Holy Blood, Holy Grail. They claim that they have the right to rule the world because they say that they're offspring of Jesus, that Jesus and Mary Magdalene had two children in France and said that these two children then um, stemmed into like the ruling classes of the world. So that's why like the ruling classes think that they have the right to be the ruling classes because they're the offspring of Jesus, which is total bunch of shit. And
But
that's what they were trying to do.
you're talking about all the like the royal bloodlines, like the
Yeah,
Queen of
yeah,
England and whatnot.
yeah. And it's
In your
like they're all,
opinion, is she a shapeshifter? In your opinion?
I don't think so.
Yeah, neither do I. I think that's just disinformation, misinformation to get us running in circles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, that stuff is real, but it's when you're at a lower density. I mean, it's like it's kind of like 1D and 2D
Hmm.
densities that bleed into this reality that's like where the reptilians and demons and monsters and stuff bleed over, but I don't think there's actual humans that are reptilians, because I mean I'm from that bloodline and I can guarantee you I'm not like I don't shapeshift.
Okay, say the word caninogen for me then.
Kininogen.
Caninogen. Yep. That's
I don't even know what
that's
that is.
in the emerald in this book, the Emerald Tablets. It states that back in the day, in the ancient days, before Lumeria and whatnot, that's how they determined whether or not a person was of a human uh, DNA by making them say that in front of the court, and if they couldn't say it, they were beheaded instantly. Yeah. They were called the shimmering ones because they could manipulate the vibration in your mind or around them to make you think they're human, or to give the illusion of something they're not.
Yeah, and I guess I can see that, but I don't think that the ruling classes have that high of vibration going.
Right, not anymore anyway, right?
No, they might have back in the day, but I don't think so right now.
Yeah, let's
But yeah,
hope not.
that's why I got kicked off of the show, because they're trying to say that these all the ruling classes, stemmed out of the bloodline of Jesus, and I was saying no, they didn't. It was like their Scythian fallen angel bloodline. It's
Hmm.
not. You know.
Now, do you think that their success on the battlefield and the Merovingians, do you think it was due to their extra ability to be an empath or a psychic or a seer?
It could have, and I'm not. I think they probably maybe they did have a better acting pineal gland. I mean, maybe they did, if there was genetic manipulation, amongst, if there was kind of like a human slave race and they genetically manipulated them to not have functional pineal glands. I mean, there's a reason why there's fluoride and everything and
Hmm.
chemicals and everything,
I
and it
just, I
seems like
just,
they do block that.
yeah, I just came across. I had an epiphany about, because recently I did a video about water being the Akashic storehouse or the hard drive for the human computer or the Earth computer. You know what I mean? As it's the
Mhm.
storehouse kind of. Now
Yeah.
that's pretty much in line with, if they put fluoride in the water to keep our information blocked, that's probably what's going on because does it fluoride is a form of chlorine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you use in the pool to get rid of bacteria and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. So like
You know,
distilling or
or
killing
just
off the things.
yep, killing off
Yeah.
any latent memory that's in there. Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
So
makes sense.
that's what I was
Mhm.
like, wow, it fits right in there with that. And
Mhm.
yeah, and then uh, what else was I gonna? I was gonna ask you about. Oh, now you said you didn't talk much when you were a child. I want to go back to that. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. That's just me. I blame it on my ADD. You didn't talk much, and I'm asking this question for a certain somebody that I know that is. I don't know. She's really upset that her child, and I wanted to point her in your direction if that's okay, so you could talk to her.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
she's upset that her kid doesn't talk yet, and he's 3.5. And I said,
Oh, yeah.
give it
I
some
didn't
time.
talk. Yeah, no, I don't worry about it because they're like, I used to talk in my head, like
Hmm.
I would talk to angels and, the God spirit and nature, you know, as I would hum constantly and kind of like the humming was like a vibration that,
Hmm.
like everything has a vibration and,
Right.
um, other things don't really talk in the English language, nature doesn't use English.
So you
So,
hear nature talk to you?
not probably not so much anymore, but when I was a little kid, I just lived outside. I mean,
You
I
mean you
didn't
didn't have
really,
a video game attached to your face at all times?
no,
Oh
no,
man.
no. I mean, I was raised by my dad who worked nights, so he basically slept all day, and I just, ran around the
Hmm.
woods.
Nice.
Um,
It sounds like an awesome
mm,
childhood.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I did a lot of fishing and stuff with my dad, but I pretty much grew up in a bar. I got no complaints because
Oh,
I had a lot of fun and I met a lot of people. But
yeah.
the woods sounds like more of a inviting place for a child than a bar.
Oh yeah, no, my dad he was a super alcoholic, don't we had, his place was the party house. There was definitely a lot of that going on. But I mean, for the most part, when he was sleeping, I was, running around the woods and just doing my own thing and talking to the trees.
Do you think the alcohol maybe and the reason why it's called spirits is for a reason?
Oh yeah,
It's
for
kind of
sure.
weird, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
just what do you think? It probably takes our spirit away or what?
I
Or does
think
it
it
give us
probably
spirit?
adds. I think it adds. Probably
Right.
adds something.
It could add mean spiritedness or whatnot, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Now you're an artist.
Yeah.
Are you on your computer right now?
No, but I got some of my pictures over here. I can
Yeah. Why
show
don't you
you.
show us?
That's what I did for about 5 years. I lived in the woods and um made a ton of money working like 2 days a week and painted the rest of the time.
Wow.
I worked in surgery. I'm a nurse, and at that time I was a surgical nurse, and they paid me just to sit at home and be on call for surgery.
Okay, so you're a nurse. So do you experience a lot of? Were you a hands-on nurse, an RN that took care of
Yeah,
hospice patients and stuff?
yeah,
When people passed, did you have insight into, them passing or?
yeah. I think any nurse pretty much can tell that. I mean, most nurses who have been doing it for a while, they know. Which is why I'm actually taking a break from nursing because that kind of thing used to be appreciated,
Hmm.
and then it went to, now they're having this big influx on, intuition means nothing and everything has to be typed into a computer algorithm and you can't think for yourself anymore.
Right. Yeah, the
Which
reason why I
is,
asked that is because my wife, she's a nurse, and
oh,
I've asked her repeatedly, could you do something, in a not do something, but could you maybe talk to people because she gets involved. She's a nurse, she loves her
yeah,
patients and she really takes care of them,
right.
and she gets
Mhm.
attached to them. And I don't know how you guys could do
Yeah,
that because it'd be like having a kid and having to let him go right away, and I don't know how people can get attached to, but I mean, that's part of being a nurse. But I've tried
yeah,
to get her to maybe find the right persons or people that are open to that sort of thing and maybe take notes of sorts. And, because if from what I understand, when people are older and they're ready and they're, at the door, most of them
hmm.
want to do it, right?
Oh yeah, and they start to see, they'll start to see things that other people can't see. I mean, they can see through the veil,
Hmm.
they can. It's like about 3 days or, before they pass they'll say that their loved ones are sitting there, like their parents or relatives that had died. They'll say that they're
Oof.
sitting there with them.
I just got goosebumps super bad because I had this thought as soon as you said that, and I'm glad you brought that up because my ADD mind probably would have forgotten all about it, and if I don't stop talking and get to the point, I'll probably forget it again. But my thought is what if our love for our family members is the fear trap? You understand what I'm getting at there? Like
Yeah.
if you're at that precipice and you got the choice to go back to where your soul family is, or what you think is love, in the physical,
Right.
and you're unaware of what is. So my theory is now, and that's ever evolving on this point because
Right.
it's hard to know unless you're there, right? And I'm not dead yet, so I don't
Yeah.
know for sure. But
Right.
I think that that is probably what traps us back into this soul recycler of whatever we're in, and
Could be.
the whole here's your mom or your dad or people that have passed
Yeah.
before you or your child that died before you, and what do you think to that?
There could be some validity to that because I mean, like for example, my son just passed away
Hmm.
and I know that he successfully passed on to the other side, um, because I mean, I watched him, I mean, multiple people, because I mean, there's multiple people in my family that are seers, and multiple people that I know and we watched him on his journey over. But I keep having these nightmares, this night after night, that he's stuck in this um, hell.
The do what maybe?
Yeah, or like this lost, I call it, I don't know what it's called. I call it the lost world. It's just, kind of a world of lost souls. But I don't think, because I keep going up to him and talking to him and he doesn't talk back, it's not really him. And I think it's just kind of a trap situation, you know?
He's sitting there waiting. His form is sitting there waiting for you, so you would be drawn to him, is what you're thinking.
Yeah. But I don't think that it's really him at all.
Hmm. Goosebumps.
I think it's like just an illusion to trap my mental, because I
Hmm.
do quite a bit of stuff, in the astral world. I'll go, I'm always going around exploring, doing different things. But lately, it's like I'm just trapped. It's like I keep seeing him, so then it's like all my energy is spent on that. But it's not even him, you know?
That's awesome that you can recognize that. And my condolences. That's got to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad passed away back in 2006, and I still haven't really dealt with it. I haven't gone to his grave. I haven't, it's just
Right.
so I can feel you, and
Hmm.
I think you're spot on with that whole analogy where it makes complete sense. And what say you to? Do you think this mirrored reality is sorts? Do you think this reality is a power source for some sort of or entity or archons, or do you think it's a power source for the next level?
It could be either. Here, I'll show you. This is the painting I did of it.
Yeah, exactly. Good segue.
Let's see if you can you see it?
Wow, that is awesome.
So you see, you have the tree here, and there's two trees. It depends what tree you're hooked to. You could be hooked to the demiurge, the false tree, or the real one.
So the demiurge is the fake matrix or the false reality?
Yeah.
Do you think do you give any validity to the inky side of that, or do you think Yahweh, or what's your take on that whole thing? Do you because a lot of people right now are confused on is there a Jesus? Should we follow Jesus, or should we just look with I say we look within, but what is your take?
I think
I'm sorry to put you on the
there's
spot.
I think there's two because I've met both. I've met the false Jesus and I've met the real Jesus. And the real one is more like a light that circles you. Because I'll just start. When I met the false one, I was taken up into this cloud level. And whenever you're in the cloud, it's kind of like the demiurge. The demiurge is when you're dealing in like etheric terms, the demiurge is the cloud. Um, Kind of, I don't know if you want to call it the veil, but anyways, I was taken up into this veil, and there was a pope, and there was all these people lined up, and they were worshiping this pope, and he was like anointing them, but none of them were awake. They were just like these drones, lined up. And I think I was the only one there that was awake. And I was, just like walking around the whole cloud, like just looking at things. And this Pope being, realized that I was alert. Um, and I went up because he was giving everybody a number. So I went up to get my number, and he like winked at me, and he took off his mask. It was like the Pope, but then he took off his mask and it was a red dragon. And he gave me the number 32, which was interesting because um, it's like 32 is the number of man, right? Or 32 is the number of divine man. You sent me that picture, with the Michelangelo.
Oh yeah, the creation of Adam.
Yeah. And the number of that is 32. Um, but anyways, then he brought me over. He said I was kind of like floating around checking things out, and he took off this mask, and he was like this red dragon. And then he took me over, and there was this figure that was like Jesus. And at first I thought it was the real Jesus, and I went and hugged him, but it was like he was this had almost like a hatred feel to him, like just no love, just
Hmm.
like anti-love. So then I looked and I was like, who are you? I said, you're not Jesus. Who are you? But he looked just like Jesus. And he said, Asher, which at the time I had no idea who Asher was, but Asher's actually, or he said the Ashurians, because it was him and his wife. He said, we're the Ashurians. Um, and in the Bible, they talk about the Assyrians, but Asher is actually Osiris, like Osiris and Isis.
Oh wow.
And
You
I
just
had
made a
no, like,
connection. You made a connection right there for me that's just profound and revealing. Because I think you're right about the demiurge, and I think that's what I've been, on the trail of.
mm-hmm.
And even though I think it's awesome that I got the knowledge, I'm still trying to figure out is it the trap itself?
Right. Yeah, and it's always because it's like the truth and the false are just lined up right together, and you
Hmm.
could go back and forth between the both, It's
That's what
like
I've been doing.
they're just mirroring each other,
Hmm.
And me too, I constantly, it's just a constant, you know,
I'm getting
and you
these
just,
just these jolts of vibration and like my goosebumps are going woof woof woof. I mean, in waves through my body right now, and I've never felt that before. It's just insane. But
yeah,
and I embrace that now. I used to think before I had a fever every time I get those, or I was cold, or you know.
yeah.
But yeah, that's just another hint that hey, we're electric. Boogie woogie woogie.
Mhm. Yeah, or just like what's your little picture? The new? That's this
DNU.
like
Yep.
that's what it is. That's what people look like. If you go in the etheric, that's like what human, that's what we are,
Right.
you
And
know?
and and up in space, when you dump any sort of liquid into space or into the zero gravity environment, a vacuum, whatever you want to call it, what does it always turn into? Turns into like an egg or a globe, And I think
Mhm.
that's what the toroidal field turns everything into, and that's what everything is a toroidal field,
Yeah,
fake or not, right?
yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah, the
and
earth has that pattern, everything has that pattern, and I think it does boil down to like what, they said like the lightning bolts of the gods. It's like whoever your lightning bolt is feeding to,
hmm.
Are you feeding the false tree or the truth tree? You
Right,
know?
and it so do you do you have any advice or any thoughts as to how to discern between the two, or is it just up to us individually to discern what where the bird-headed freak is, or where Jesus is, or when I say
I
bird-headed
think
freak,
it,
uh, go ahead.
I think it's just prayer. I mean, I think that there is a living God source, which, whatever, if you want to call it the new, I mean, just constantly pray that you're connected to the light,
Hmm.
and not the darkness, and ask to be shown the truth. And now that things seem to be revealing themselves at a pretty outstanding level. If you ask to be shown the truth, I mean, you ask and you receive.
Hmm. If your
Because,
intent is real and true,
yeah, if your intent is real. And what the deal is you got to get past that ego.
which is
You
hard to
know,
do every day.
yeah, it's a constant battle, and that's the problem that a lot of these YouTube people have. I think that they start off having good intent and they fall into that ego trap, But when
I
you're,
have several times, and I've caught myself several times, and I've got a few people to thank for smacking me in the face, saying, you're no
yeah,
better than them if you act like that.
right. Yeah, and I do. I mean, everybody does. We're human. It's like I
Hmm.
fall into the same shit.
Right.
Um,
I had a
but I,
couple more thoughts that were very, very poignant in my mind, and go ahead, finish your thought, and I'm going to think of that question I just had for you.
Oh, I was just gonna say when I met, I think there is a real Jesus because I did on another occasion, I met the false Jesus and I like renounced him. I said, and I think it's all like levels of test. So it's like I passed that test and then I met the real Jesus, only he was under the ocean, like under the waters. And I think the waters are um like the waters of none, or it's like they're the cosmic womb.
Hmm.
Um, so I met him under there and he put a pentagram over me. And my body became like my limbs and whatever kind of spread out on this pentagram. And then I shot to the top of the waters and it became my boat.
Cool.
And then I could see the sun in the distance. And as long as I sat on there,
What is your phone going dead? Uh-oh. I think her phone went dead, guys. But yeah, uh, she was about to explain a vision. She has visions all the time, I guess, and it's insane how much of what she sees I've learned on YouTube, or I've had visions myself without even knowing I was having the visions. I thought they were my thoughts or my way of meditating through a certain. She is awesome, isn't she, Luna? She's very awesome. She's intrigued me to the point to where I had to ask her on here, and I can't believe how awesome she is. She she just lost her son. Her son shot himself, I think, and she's a warrior of right. That's my new phrase. I like to say, we're fellow warriors of right, and I I thank every one of you guys for joining us, and hopefully she can get back on here. I'm going to try to see if I can connect her back up, and because there's a lot more she has to share with us. Like, she was telling me earlier that I went to her channel, and her channel is Daniel D. If anybody's interested to go to her channel, and I'll leave the link. I'll get the link out there. And she was telling me that when she was younger, she was ostracized for being different. I was ostracized for being redhead, fat, and freckles. I was picked on constantly and whatnot. And she was picked on because of her mentality or her mind. And fear not, people. If you feel like you're different, it could be a good thing because the good. Here's a good saying that I like more than any. What's true isn't popular, and what's popular usually isn't true. And for everybody to want more subs is good, and want more recognition is good if your intent is real. And there's several, like she was stating, there's several YouTubers out there that just throw that to the side and don't care about what's real, what's true for our existence. And I got to apologize to everybody today for if I spread negativity. I did not mean to. And I came across that document a couple days ago, and it just made me go wow. And I was stuck in a doldrum this morning to the point where I was crying, and I'm not afraid to cry because it feels good for me. Because I am somewhat of an empath. I'm not a total plugged in empath. I can't totally feel everybody, but I can pretty much read everybody for what they are and what their intents are. And if if I'm crying over something, then I pay attention to it and I try to work it out, or I get somebody. And I had several people help me out today. You know, you you all good, Steve. You are the man. Thank you, Australian. I honestly have no clue how many I have. I never look at it. What are you talking about? Me. What are you guys talking about? Yep. I just want to hug her. She's gonna love that. And you guys, you know what? You people are just awesome. I mean, I consider you part of my family, and this is why. Hey, I'm gonna take this time. I'm gonna try to connect with her one more time here. And you know what? I think her phone just died, and she's like me. She's not a computer tech whiz or none of that like I am, but or like I'm not. But subs. What was I? Oh, subs. Okay, yeah, you guys were talking about subs. See, now that's my ADD kicking in, and a lot of you can, I don't know, relate to how I am, I guess, and I think that might come with the territory of truth seeking. But the meet and greet-a-thon, a lot of people may think I'm off my rocker for wanting to travel around and meet anybody who's willing. But I want to do that. I feel compelled to. It's like I'm sick of being on the screen. You know what I mean? I'm sick of talking and not doing anything. Meaning that I'm more of a hands-on type of guy. Like I want to affect the cause and cause the effect that I want to happen. Like Milky Way always says, be the frequency you'd like to receive. There's sayings out there that make sense. And for me, the one that made sense the most my whole existence was all for one and one for all. And love, peace, chicken grease because it's just funny. But it's, the whole all for one, one for all makes complete sense. And in the Emerald Tablets, it speaks of that same concept. And people are running around right now thinking that time doesn't exist. I'm here to tell you it does. And that time is what makes us manifest in this creation, what we're here in right now. Because if time did not exist, there'd be no beginning. If you follow me there. Now, time is irrelevant once we're beyond the physical realm. True. Because the physical realm is held, the events in our consciousness in the physical realm in the 3D manifest. I believe, I'm no guru on dimensions or anything. This is my feeling, I guess I can say, that our existence is dependent on time. And maybe our construct of time is wrong, but if there was no time, there'd be no beginning. There had to be a clock at the beginning, right? But yeah, anybody who's interested in opening their door and doing a 5-10 minute interview with me so I can put out a perspective of the other side of the screen, even if you have a YouTube channel, just to get that, put a collage of different personalities together and put it all together. You know what I mean? Unbiased on the Fence is having a big meetup. 2,000 people signed up already. Cool. That's Unbiased on the Fence. It's just different. Hey, Bella, Mike. R1 Raw T4. Nice name. What's up, Miles? My brother from another mother. How are you doing? And when we were talking about the ether that day, my guys, and Dad blasted robots. Oh, okay, Luna, nice. Luna, that docu. Okay, what was I talking? I want to finish this. Oh, the ether. Does anybody remember when the ether was spelt with an A? AETHER. I do. And my skies and I were talking about that one day. And who else was in there? It was my skies and Jerry Runk, I believe, right? Yeah, Jerry Runk. And all of a sudden, that video, or I was watching a Randall Carlson video about geocosmic Rex. He's the guy that does all of the geological evidence about past cataclysms on Earth. And the A represented itself in several different, I don't know, statuary or sculptures. But the A represents the tent, I think, or the ether, or the force that binds all in its form. That's the thing that we can manipulate, or is creation itself. And it sounds simplistic in your mind, but trying to explain it is another deal altogether. But anyway, my point is that all is not as it seems, but I think we can change that by manipulating that essence of what we are. And yeah, Ethernet, the ether, the cloud. Isn't it amazing that everything is a cloud nowadays? We've gone from regular light bulbs to LED light bulbs. Everything is just, it's kind of weird how the physical things in our existence are changing with our esoteric or our inward uh, spiritual or soul understanding of the world, the ba and the ka, you know, and maybe Osiris and that whole trapezium star cluster. I thought it was the divine matrix itself, but you know, there is something going on here. But the the more important thing here, I believe, is what we need to do as a collective species and a collective soul group family is live in the now and do good just for ourselves. Be selfish, because if you're good to yourself and good to the people around you, it'll come back and it'll come back tenfold. You guys are just awesome. Voice to text always spells ether. I know. And every time I see ether like that, I think ether, or yeah, I don't see ether. Ren voice, maybe it's the dreaded space madness, right? And the ether is electromagnetic force. The ether is the collective of information nodes. Australian School of Esoterica. Can I call you Andrew? That's your name, right, Andrew? Or is it Adrian? I think it's Andrew, right? I don't want to be wrong there. Always be in the now. It's a lot of work, though. Yes, it is, because everybody's thinking about paying their bills tomorrow and what happened to them yesterday. But what what do you think about what was I asking? See, there's my ADD again. Aaron. Okay, yeah, there you go. Sorry, Aaron. I apologize, buddy. Um, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? See, I was going to ask you a question. Damn it. I hate that. I hate that with all my existence. It drives me nuts. Because I get off on side tangents and side thoughts and I think about 15 things at once. Time is the same as quantum computing, as I tried to explain to Wayne. Oh no, you're going to get blocked again. You're going to get blocked here, Miles. No, I'm just kidding. Now, the ether. Oh, yeah. The ether is the thing that coalesces, that binds everything into the vibrational form. And what do you think? Do you think that we're onto something when we think that the water may be the retainer of latent memory and ancestral remembrance, or like the deja vu and whatnot? What do you think? What do you guys think about that? Do you think the water may be the situational awareness that I'm not saying it's our consciousness together, but Starflower's into his house. How you doing, sweetheart? I can't wait to see you. I know you're on the top of my list. When you connect with God and trust Him to provide, you stop worrying about everything and you have a peace that's difficult to explain. Hallelujah. It's especially hard nowadays to even have that concept in your head, because every time you talk like that, people think, "Whoa, it's a religion," and they slam a door. They say, they think automatically when you talk like that God is religion, and that's not the case. God is separate from religion. Religion is a man's construct, right? And I believe there is a God, an Almighty, a Creator, and I believe that Creator infused Himself into us all. It's part of us all. He's made us. I don't care what people think. Right. Hallelujah. That's awesome. because I care about what people think, right, guys? You know, and you guys have been there and watched my journey, and I have been so blessed to experience your guys' journey with me. And anybody who's communicated with me on a personal level, emails, knows that I would only communicate with you if I believed you were true. And that brings me to Danny D and her spectacular visions and her comments she makes that blow me away to a point that I begged her. I sent her, like, she's been moving, and I begged her to come on, and it was kind of difficult getting on tonight because she didn't have hangouts all figured out. Neither did I, actually. I always do that. Hey, Matt, how you doing, bud? Religion, yeah. Spiritual enlightenment, yes. Now, do you guys think that the spiritual, the spirit is the same as the soul? Or, do you have this? I think that, let me tell you guys a story. I've told this story before, but I think it's pertinent here. I was once working on a car under a hood in a closed garage. I had plasticed off, and I had it running, and the brake booster was bad. I'm going to try to get on here and invite her again and see if she's willing or able to. But I was doing this brake booster on this car, and I was under the dashboard for a good 40 minutes in this sealed up garage. And I was under the dashboard, and all of a sudden I had this, it was a straight up voice in my head say, "What the hell are you doing? Get the hell out of here." And that's all that it said in my head. And I thought, what the hell is that? And I just did it. I did. Hey, there she is. She came back. I'm glad I sent that last invitation to you. You're muted, sweetheart. You gotta hit your little microphone up here on the top. See the little box down here where there's a microphone? Hello? Can you hear me? Hit your microphone up here. It's above your head up on top of your screen. Or it's down in, there you go. You keep hitting it over and over again. See, she gets frustrated like me when it comes to this computer thing. It's like having the candy bar right there and you can't eat it, you know? Or that red button in front of the little boy and the guy saying, "Don't push that button. You got to push it again. You had it for a second." She'll get it. But yeah, what was I talking about?
Can you hear
I
me?
think, yep, now I can hear you. There you
Oh,
go.
jeez.
I was just
My phone
explaining to
died.
everybody that, yeah, I figured that. I was
Now I'm
explaining to
stuck to the
everybody
wall. I can't change around.
how you're technically inept like I am.
Yeah, I'm handicapped with that.
Right.
Pressing
If
that
you
stupid microphone over and over.
I seen that. I heard you go. "Rup, rup, 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 rup." If you want your picture on, go to the camera up above your head right there and just hit the camera and
Mm,
turn the red off. There you go. We got you. Okay, now does anybody remember what she was talking about when she went kaput on
oh,
us?
that was a lot of work.
Well, we appreciate it, and everybody here in the chat really love your story, and they love you. They want to give you a hug.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And
It's nice when people don't think you're crazy.
well, like Starflower said just a minute ago, do we care if what anybody thinks of us at this point? You know,
No.
no, I don't really care. You can think I'm crazy all you want. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty whatever.
Right, right, whatever. Right, because I believe that the knowing or the thirst for knowledge is what's going to free us in the end, and that's what we're trying to work out here. And
Yeah, you have to have just the continuous searching, I think. That's the key.
hmm
I mean, you're
the
gonna go into the wrong, there's the parallel lines of the false knowledge and the true knowledge, and you're always going to go back and forth. But as long as you're searching, if as long as your intent is to find the truth, I think uh, you will find it. You know.
Right. Do you have that Bible around you?
It's downstairs. I can run
Oh
and get it.
man, I don't. I don't want to make you hustle any more
Well,
than you
no, it's
have
not
to.
that. I can go down the stairs. It's not that hard. But
Yeah.
I can't disconnect from my charger because my phone will die again.
Well, we'll trust that you come back.
Okay, just wait.
Yeah, guys, she's got this old Bible that just blew me away, and it's got all of the symbolism. It's got all of the symbolism that the eye in the triangle, and all of it. I mean, it's just crazy. Okay, guys, here I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of what I think our paradigm is. Now, if you record a creation within a creation and you try to view it, I believe this is what happens. Right here. Now watch. See how that goes in. Now I'm going to share this once. Here's our reality. We are our fractal within a 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 fractal. Now you see how my cursor moves with each screen? As I move up, it doesn't come back. It goes forward in one linear line. I believe that to be time, guys. I believe that's how time works in a linear fashion. It's possible, I believe, to go back maybe or slow it down. Are you back? Okay, so what do you guys think to that? Yes.
Molly's back.
There she is. Oh, there. What's your dog's name?
There's Molly.
Wally. Nice. Yeah, he was getting it on with the ball yesterday. I seen that video you had. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
there is no round object that is safe in the house. We just
Wow.
moved and there's a bunch of kids that live next door and she's been going next door and stealing all their toys. And their
What's her
mom came
name?
over and she
Molly or Wally?
Wally.
Say it again.
Wally
With a W.
with a L.
Lolly.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Lolly. I called you Wally.
Well, that's what I call her. I call her Wallace.
Cool. Yeah, but I was just explaining to these guys how that Bible you have has all of the vilified symbolism that is we think is the Illuminati or the Freemasons or all of that nonsense.
Yeah. See, I think it's just yeah, it's crazy. Here, I'll show you. If you can see. Let me see if I can.
Well, that's one heck of a book.
Yeah, it has the whole. It has all the apocrypha. Oh my goodness.
Holy
It has
cow!
all the apocrypha. It has like the history of the world. It has all the Sumerian stuff. Let's see, it's got the eye on there.
Yep, you see that, guys? That's cool.
And even these.
How did you obtain that book?
Um. So my ancestry stems back to like Scottish. Well, ultimately, I'm related to Robert the Bruce, and then through his oldest daughter, and he was a what do you call him, Knight Templar,
A Knights
but I'm
Templar?
not, just kind of. I mean, this isn't that old, but I mean, it's from early 1800s. Um, but it's through that side of the family,
Cool.
and they eventually became, like one of them was James Bruce. He was a advisor to King James of England and was supposedly like a sorcerer, but he went around and found a lot of the Book of Enoch. He took it out of Ethiopia. Um, probably
probably not the best people. Probably the ones that we're all fighting against.
Wow, it's pretty hard to say that your ancestors maybe weren't the best people, huh? Is that who
Yeah, probably the root of all evil.
you? Wow. Well, I definitely don't think you're involved in that root of all evil because I really believe you to be, like I said, a warrior of the right and or the light, and I really appreciate you coming on here, Danielle.
Yeah, I think it's just what you tap into. It's whether are you gonna feed your ego and you know
Hmm. And
or
feeding the ego is kind of like chasing the dollar, is it not?
yeah, or chasing fleshly desires, chasing ways of the world, you know,
Hmm.
chasing just trying to be popular, whatever.
Right. And Denzel Washington, I did a video recently that I came across a quote of his that rang true, so true with me that you know people are so wanting to be right that they just throw
Hmm.
away the truth. They want to
Yeah,
be right so bad that or they want to be first so bad that they don't care about the truth.
yeah. And if you
Yes,
have everybody agreeing with you, you probably aren't on the right. You know,
very true. And a lot of
it's
people
the
think
narrow
that
path.
right. There you go. Perfect analogy. So there was the one question I wanted to ask you is now we get to the Anu and or the Jesus and the Mother Mary story, and when you talked about the fake or the false or the mirror copy, do you think that is the same in essence as Osiris and Isis? You know, you know what
I
I'm getting
think
at there.
so. From what I've witnessed, that seems to be.
So, so you don't think it's just a carry on of the same? You think it's actually a mirrored copy? They tried to copy it to get people
Yeah,
to
I think
worship it
it's
the
the.
same?
I've thought about that a lot myself, and I'm gonna go with it's a copy because I realize that the stories line up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I mean I've looked at the studies, and I mean I see that people say that the story of Jesus is just a run on or the same thing,
Yeah, like it's repeated over and over and over again to get like the next
which it
generation.
could be. I don't know. I can't give you the right answer on that. I don't know.
It's a very
That
difficult.
one that one is one that I think about a lot and wonder about.
Hmm. Our our matrix, if you will, it speaks to us daily. It speaks to me through numbers, the number 333 mostly, and
Yeah.
and other things like synchrony. We were talking earlier about synchronicities when you think about something and somebody calls, or you know stuff like that. Or
I think that's when you know you're on the right path, is if you're lined up with the synchronicities.
yes, the more of those you think, the more in
Yeah,
line
I
you
think
are with the
that I
right
think that's
frequency.
your truth meter.
Hmm. Very pertinent. And
Because
yeah,
there's a quote in the Bible, and it says, what's the difference between the living God and Belial? And it says the true God is the living God. It's what's real. And if you're aligned with the living God, you're going to be aligned with synchronicities. Where Belial is just false. There's nothing, you know.
what was
You're
that
not
word
going to be
you
aligned
said?
with anything.
Delisle or
But or Baal,
oh, ball. Yeah, yeah,
Ball.
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
different
no, that's all right.
pronunciations.
Yeah, people, it's tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get you. Uh, and do you think there's a Nibiru?
No, No, I'm gonna have to say that I'm gonna go with that. We're the Anunnaki, and I think the true humans are. See, that's another one. That's a okay. Well, there is Anunnaki. Well, is there two races of people? Is there two races of humans on the earth?
I've heard that there's like seven root races.
Yeah, there's seven. Yeah, there's um.
I got a good document I'll send you on that. It's somebody
I have. Yeah,
did a
I've
lot of.
read the Urantia book,
Hmm?
and I've read about the root races.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
from the Urantia book.
yeah, or the Great Arcanum, or
Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
and
I
it's
think there's
amazing.
different root races, and is the Anunnaki just one of the root races,
Hmm.
or is it humanity as a whole?
Right, and the whole Nibiru thing. I believe that we're standing on Nibiru because we're the planet at the crossing. You know.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's yeah, and I maybe the dimensions divide. I mean, maybe light and dark separate at the crossing, and one fraction goes one way and one fraction goes the other, and that's why it's then depicted as a separate planet because maybe when the Mayan were here and the last crossing, the dimensions shifted and the Earth kind of shifted into two separate realities, and um, then maybe it started being depicted as a separate entity. But I do think that I do believe that Earth is Nibiru.
Do you remember when you were a child or when you were in school learning about where our solar system is located in the Milky Way galaxy?
Yeah, on the outer outskirts, and now it's right in the middle, right?
Right. Now
That's
that
some. See,
that's
that's weird shit.
that is nuts. That's like wow, because I remember we were, and it's like Sagittarius arm now is a minor arm in the galaxy, and we're all of a sudden on something that was called a spur before. Now it's called a Orion arm. You know.
Right. That's where yeah, it's like the Twilight Zone right now.
Right. so
That's
so
where,
these energy like I've been seeing a lot of light flashes out of the corner of my eye. I don't know if anybody else
yeah,
has
me
lately.
too. Yep.
And it gets my attention, but I'm getting so used to it now that I just don't even pay attention to it anymore. It's just like, oh, okay, there. Let's see how many times it does it, and I'll count it. But
Mm-hmm.
it, and like we were talking about earlier, like that person, that thing ran out in front of the car, and I slammed on the brakes, and my friend seen it too. But we looked at each other like, did you see that? But it was like one of those things that you see but you don't see.
Yeah,
So.
I swear the dimensions are going like the triangles,
Mhm.
are are coming down on each other. The positive and the negative charge are kind of coming down on each other, and everything's bleeding in to each other.
Right. My theory on the whole uh, core of the Earth heating up or changing, or I believe people want to say that neutrinos don't do anything to matter, but if something's named neutral and we're positive and negative charged, you know,
Yeah.
how can something neutral not affect something that's charged? You know what I mean? That's just my layman's way of looking at it. Like, if we're being bombarded by extra neutrinos, which there's proof of that we are from some source that's out past, what we can fathom. Who knows what's out there anyway? But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
what.
think so because we're getting these waves in, like the central, there's supposed to be these energy waves piling in here.
Yes, yeah, I think
I
that the
mean, that has
neutrinos are
to,
affecting our.
I think that affects us because I do kind of watch those reports, and certain psychics or whatever seem to be able to pick up on these energy waves, and there does seem to be an increase of paranormal activity on the days that these waves come in.
Right. When was the last one? In November, I think. November 11th or something like that, was it?
Well, there's supposed to be one right now.
Oh wow! Right now on
Yeah.
on the solstice.
Yep.
On the resurrection of the Son?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, do you think there's another? That leads me a good segue into, okay, so there's a real Jesus and whatnot. Now, did he get crucified in his Christmas? I don't want to get into the pagan part of it, but I mean, paganism is actually part of our history, don't you think? I mean,
Yeah.
the that's the natural way of being connected. I mean, that's how they seen it. That everything natural was God, and right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then,
Yep.
and so what I'm getting at here is, do you think that the 3 days of laying in state and then the resurrection, do you think that had anything to? Do you think it's all to do with the, like, people say that the gods were planets, and that, like, do you think all of the Bible may be cosmogony of sorts, or an astral or an astronomical template for
Yeah,
religion, maybe?
I think it's all interrelated
Yes, yes.
for
So,
sure. And I mean,
so
I'm not completely skilled on the astrological side. That's why I like watching you because you give me that aspect of it that I'm not
well, you know what?
knowledgeable.
I'm not gonna say not to follow my channel, but I don't want to be the blind leading the blind here either. Because
Well, I mean,
I.
it just gives a good point of reference that I mean, I don't know the technical terms to things. I don't study space,
Hmm.
so it gives
Yeah,
me, to me it was like really an aha moment. It was like, wow, is this what I'm seeing? Exactly what I'm seeing. How, you know, I mean,
right.
it just kind of gives me validation that I'm not crazy.
Those are beautiful moments, aren't they? When
Yeah.
somebody says something that you've been like, and it's like, wow, I'm not a. You get so excited, you're just jumping up, you're beside yourself. You wanna,
Yeah.
just, yeah. So I
That's
get
when
that
I
every
start
now and then.
commenting just crazy shit because I'm all excited.
Right, and I do that too. And people instantly think I'm crazy, and they get turned off, and they're like, "Whoa, slow down, take a breath," da, 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 da,
Yeah.
but you can't.
Yeah, that's what people think about me, but really, I mean, I'm not that crazy. It's just I
Nah,
just
I
get
don't think you're
excited
crazy at
sometimes.
all. I don't think
I just
if you're crazy, I don't want to be sane.
yeah.
Because our reality right now, everybody in our world is crazy. Everybody
Oh
is,
yeah.
because they're going at each other over this or that, or they're making up this or they're making up that, and a lot of it, people, are like the mud flood and all that stuff. What is your take on that? I just want to get your kid. Do
What
you?
was that again? Because I don't really follow all the ridiculousness sometimes.
Yeah.
What
So
was
you don't
that?
even. The mud flood, they say, is, there's evidence around the world that there was floods repeatedly, obviously,
Oh, okay.
but
Yep, I've heard
but
that.
they're stating that back in 1850s or so, that they saved all these kids from this ancient civilization, which was Tartaria or something like that. But as early as 1850, they say that our history has been wiped off the books, and and all of a sudden just rewrite it. Now, I think that's,
Okay, so who came up with this?
I don't know. That's my point. Exactly. That's what I say to everybody. Ask yourself where the information originates. Because
Right?
we got one source of information now, and who is that? Google. You know, is that good or is
Mm-hmm.
that bad? You know what I mean by that?
Pluto?
I said Google. Google's the
Oh,
only place we
Google.
get
I thought you
information.
said Pluto.
Oh, no,
I
Google.
was like, Pluto's talking to you?
Hey, it's funny you say that, because a couple of the models I seen of the Sephiroth, or the Tree of Life, or
Yeah.
the Symphony of the Spheres, the Tetragrammaton.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
I seen
familiar with that.
Pluto at the Keither, on a couple of them, and
Okay.
that's kind of weird to me, because it kind of made sense in a way, because they demoted Pluto. They're trying to take God away from us. Maybe God is on the outskirts of the paradigm, keeping watch over its flock. That's just my thought. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think
because I
I don't
never.
know. I think there's a big movement right now to make what's bad seem, what's evil seem good, and what's good seem evil. You know, they're trying to flip
Right.
flop everything. And I mean, the Bible says that's what's going to happen, you know?
It's
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 like,
just insane how everything is just wow. And oh, we were talking about the ether. I was going to ask you the question about the ether. Do you remember when the ether was spelt with an A?
yeah, that's how I thought it was spelled.
Yeah, so did I. Until I got on YouTube, and all of a sudden there's no A on it anymore. There's an E, and that's it. You try typing
Yeah, I
our.
kept going. When I first started commenting, I was going back and forth with that because, yeah, I noticed the same thing and was trying to figure that out. But to me, I would always spell it with an A.
Me too. A capital A every time, no matter if it was in the
Yeah,
middle of the sentence or not, because it was a big deal in religion. Even I mean, I remember preachers talking about the ether when I was a kid.
yeah.
You know, and they don't talk about that stuff anymore in church. All they talk
No,
about
not at all.
is
And
about
that's what,
sheeps and flocks and.
yeah, I had this this crazy experience when I was just sitting in my room, and like these orbs came, like, you know how you're kind of half not sleeping but
Hmm.
awake, you
Are
know,
you
you're
talking
awake
about
but
that
you're kind
video
of,
you just put out recently? You put out a video about orbs on.
oh yeah,
Was it?
no, this was a while back. This
Oh,
was
okay.
different.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. No, this was like in the beginning. This was like in April or something, and I was just sitting in my room, and halfway sleeping, but I was awake, and like this orb came and hovered over me and just like sucked me up. And it was like all these angels were traveling in these orbs, and they just kind of showed me how they travel in orbs and how they work miracles. It's like all these orbs were going in, and it's like they would spin one way and they would change all reality. They were just showing me like physical reality isn't is kind of an illusion, you know?
Is your dog snoring right now?
Yeah, she's sitting right here snorting.
Oh, I thought she was sleeping.
No, she just makes noises.
She's
It's
so ugly.
everything
She's
is
cute.
noisy. That's her sound too. That's a good spot.
I love dogs.
Yeah.
I have a golden retriever.
But anyway,
Hey, why don't you?
they took me up and they were showing me like how physical reality is just an illusion and how it can be changed just by, you know, their spirits changed this way, and the whole reality changed. And I know one of the Gnostic gospels says, you know, talks about the spirits rotating this way and that way, you know,
Hmm.
and how they can mess up. How, they said uh, they can mess up the sorcerers because they can go in and change the direction of the spears,
Hmm.
which never made sense to me. But when I saw that, you know, these
Or did you
angels
see that?
came
Did
in
you
and,
see that magnet video I put out? Remember that magnet video I put out
yeah,
with that sphere magnet that was going around the one I had underneath the table?
yep,
And it's
yeah,
weird
yep.
because you rotate the sphere in the one direction and it counter rotates automatically. Remember
Yeah, that's what
how
I
it
think it is. It's like yeah, then they counter rotate it and then it changes all realities. And they're saying this is how like miracles can happen because they just come in and rotate, you know, they change the magneticism must be, you know.
yeah,
But
right.
oh, my whole point to this was something. I
Yeah,
had
the
a point.
orbs taking you, showing you
Uh
how they manipulate and how they can mess up the sorcerers.
yeah, but just how these angels come in and manipulate reality. What were we talking about before that?
I don't remember. It's literally the blind leading the blind here, two ADDs. That's funny. Wow. What were we talking about? I don't know, Bill. What you talking about? That's funny. That's too cool. But I think that
But yeah,
I think that's
they took me up and showed me that, and then it's like there was this blue light in the middle of the earth that was this false light was this blue light that was, it was like roots all through the earth, and like these angels just came in and they pulled, it was like the Lucifer light, and
Oh
they
wow.
came in and they pulled out this light source, and then this whole flash, it's like they pulled it out, they flew off with it, then everything was silent, and then it was the flash. You know how in the Bible it says you'll see lightning flash from the east to the west? There was like
Mhm.
a flash of light across the whole sky, and then this light came and sucked me into it, and then I was sucked into a womb and like sucked into a whole nother reality. So
How
I
do you
don't know
deal
if
with
that's
how do you deal with visions like that? Do you just did you just grow up just I mean, what at what point did you just you were you able to actually cope with it? I mean, were you always able to cope with it or
I used to be like afraid of things, and then I just had to um do away with fear, you know? I finally just, once I relinquish fear, like none of the negative entities ever bought, you know, like when I was in fear, you know, these, I'd have reptilians and, you know, negative entities um tormenting me, you know? And
so do
I'd
you
just
ride
be
roller
like
coasters?
paralyzed in fear.
Yeah, I
And
know
I
how
just
that
got
feels.
tired of it, you know? I just got tired of, I was like, this is just stupid, you know?
Yes. Hallelujah. Yeah, do you ride roller coasters?
I have motion sickness.
So you're not a much of an adrenaline junkie then?
No.
No.
I used to like roller coasters, but I get really bad motion sickness, then I throw up.
Nice.
You don't want to be my roller coaster
No,
partner.
not if you're gonna throw up on me. No, not at all. That, definitely don't want to be on a roller coaster.
No,
But
I get sick on the merry-go-round.
oh, there's another point I want to make. Have you ever thought about, okay, the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and I'm not making a case that the Earth is standing still or nothing, but what do you think I don't know. Have you ever thought into that? Why we don't get flung off the Earth? Because I know we're spinning, well, obviously, because the stars are moving in the sky. Or maybe I don't know that for sure, but have you ever thought of that? Because you go on a merry-go-round and you go just a little bit. Somebody pushes you, and if you're not hanging on to that SLB, you're flying off of it. Now, have you ever thought about that? Because our physicists want us to believe that it is the spin itself and the size of the Earth that holds us to the Earth, which is counterintuitive, if you ask me.
Do you
You
think
know,
that there's a magnetic force in the center of the Earth, that we have a magnetic force to us,
yes, I
and
believe.
that there's a
Yep.
magnetic force in the center of the Earth that holds us to the Earth, and that if the poles reverse, that magnetic force will change?
Yeah, in essence, I don't think that will ever because the orbits, how planets stay at a certain distance from the sun and whatnot, and maybe that is the mechanism that they say if you've ever watched the Thunderbolts project with his work where he talks about how the planets were closer and they were in different parts of the sky and whatnot, you know, and maybe
Yeah,
that's true, maybe it's not, but my point is that I think that the Van Allen belt and everything is the ion bubble. I don't know if you've ever looked into. Well, that we'll get back to. Remember that? Oh, I remember what we were talking about when your phone went dead. We were talking about that magnetic thing on my when I did that live stream with the TV,
yeah. Okay, yep,
and
yep, I got
and
it.
I was moving my hand, and when I had my hand, these magnets right here. When I had these magnets in my hand, and see, look at it, it's doing it right now. Well, maybe that's just because the camera's glitching out. But I mean, and then I took them out of my hand, and I'd move my hand in front of the TV or in front of the camera, and it would move the right speed. But then when I was looking at it through my camera, it would move slower. And I was getting to this point right here. Have you ever thought of, our? I'm gonna do a screen share and watch what my screen does. You see this right here? Now watch this. Uh oh, what happened? Okay, here we go. Now you see how it goes inside itself like this? How you get the screen within the screen within? I don't think it's going to do it because I got you here.
Oh,
We got to
yep,
go
now
right
I
here.
see it. Yep, I
Yeah,
seen it.
right here.
Yep. Yeah, that's how the dimensions, that's how it looks. If you go on
Yeah.
the Aether, that's how it looks, exactly like that.
Now you see
And
my
every
cur.
level is like there's a door and you can enter the doors.
Awesome. And you see my cursor right here? You see how I can go up and it doesn't it's not repeated behind it?
Yep.
But then you go back here and then it's repeated and it disappears when it comes off the screen, but then poof it goes whoosh. I think that's a depiction of time. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, because that's, yeah. I know that's how the dimensions are lined up.
That's cool. And I've come to think I think that's the creation within the creation that makes that so. Like on the video
Yeah.
when you're recording or watching a recording in a recording, you know.
Yeah, and
So
see there's nine lower worlds. There's like nine worlds, fallen worlds. That's why like that Bob Saunders that talks about the Council of the Nine or whatever.
hmm
That's why it makes me like suspicious of it because there's nine fallen worlds. And then you have the Council of the Nine. Well, what are they the council of? The fallen worlds, you know? Why do I want to take advice
well,
from the Council of the Fallen Worlds?
I mean, every other point you're making here is just putting chills through me. It's just incredible. I haven't felt this in a long time, and it's true to me. Like you say, like I said, it's my truth meter. And yeah,
Yeah.
the Great White Brotherhood are actually the purveyors of this book that I'm talking about. The Emerald Tablets. They're the ones that are right here in the front page. And that's
I know. See,
the
I'm back and forth about that because there's a lot of truth to it as well. I think you
right,
just have to know because even if you're speaking of Lucifer, Lucifer gives you a lot of truth, but
right.
you just have to be able to pick out the bullshit.
hmm And it can take one nugget of bullshit to lead you down the primrose path, right?
Right.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
hey
that's
Danielle, you're awesome, and I appreciate you coming on here. And I'd like to do this again
yeah.
because you're an awesome person. I'm gonna leave a link for your channel, so don't be surprised if you get an influx of 20 or 30 subs. I'm not no huge YouTuber, but you might
Yeah,
get a once or twice.
I don't have anything that cool, but on my
No, I
channel
think
yet. But
I
I keep meaning to put stuff on there now that I have my attic room set up. Um, I can actually make videos now.
can you is your phone mobile for a second? Maybe you can show us a few of your paintings and
Oh yeah, sure.
we can advertise some
Uh,
of that if you'd like.
oh that one. Here, this one's like that one is like in the wilderness, I painted that when I was pretty much stuck in hell. And
I'll tell
most of
you
my
what, you are
paintings
one
have
gifted
this like
artist
kind
there.
of like a escape, like a portal into another dimension, if you can see.
Awesome.
Um,
Wow, you're an exceptional artist.
uh,
It's pretty cool.
this one kind of has the toroidal aspect.
And most of these are from visions that you've seen, right?
Yeah.
About how long does a painting like that take you?
Oh, a long time.
If you were to sell a painting
Like
like that,
months.
how much would you sell it for?
I don't know. That's like a relative question because it's all dang it, how you, that's why I don't sell them because somebody wouldn't pay that much for them. I mean, something like that takes me months to. Somebody probably give me like $100 for it, and it took me
Yeah,
3 months.
right. I hear you. I
It'd
hear
be
you.
like 2 cents per, 2 cents per hour.
Well, we got to make you famous, and then then your art will sell for billions of
See, that's
dollars
what I
when you're.
want to do. Like show explaining my paintings because it's kind of it's like a spiritual transmutation process you know,
You were
going
breaking up
from
there, honey.
going through the cycles. This one's not done. It's more of the like the electric universe
Oh wow.
and the two, the tree of death and the tree of life.
So I'm going to talk to the chat here real quick. You can keep showing us those. So what do you guys think
Yeah.
of her paintings, and what do you guys think of Danielle? Do you think she's onto something here? Do you think she's connected? And do you think she's going to help our community? Oh
And
man,
this
I
one's
want
kind
that
of that.
one. Luna Bell wants one of them.
I want to make prints of them, like
Definitely.
do posters.
I'd hang them up in my house, I'll tell you that. I think those
Yeah,
are
I need
awesome.
to hang them up. My husband's not excited about. I'm gonna hang them up all over the house. He's like, "Oh, I ain't doing that."
Hey, now that's some chick art that I'd hang up because that's some cool stuff there. That one's
See, this
awesome.
one is kind of like the demiurge in my view. Is like the lion is kind of like the cloud.
Hmm. What's your take on white lions? Those have made an appearance in my reality lately. That like they've shown up like on my YouTube wall or whatever, and I've seen them other places as well. Do you think there's anything to a white lion, or do you think?
I think that yeah, I think it symbolizes oh, it's kind of difficult to explain. It's
Sorry.
like the ego. It can be like the dual aspects of God. It's either, the lion can eat you or you can eat the lion. Like the
Hmm.
book of Thomas says, you need to eat the lion and become the lion. Like you need to eat your ego
Hmm.
and take control of yourself, or it will eat you and become you.
Right.
The lion will eat the human and the lion becomes human.
Yeah. Blessed is the man who consumes the lion, and
Yeah,
blessed be the lion that consumes the man. And then there's I don't
yeah,
know how it ends, but yeah.
yeah. And I know the book of Isaiah talks about, it says the queen of, or who is it, like the queen of heaven will unleash two young lions to torment man.
Hmm.
And I think that's basically just, probably the ego and what is it? There's the ego and the id. Either you have your ego where you're prideful, or else
Yep.
you're the part of your conscious that's always doubting yourself and tearing yourself apart.
Awesome insight there. Totally awesome. And
So you have to
Australia.
basically, you have to eat, you have to take control of them.
Yes, we do. Australian School of Esoterica says Danielle is onto it. She has real astral ability. She's a guru. You can see through you can see through her paintings that she taps into the astral realms for her inspiration. Yes, and I would
Yeah,
agree with
Tom,
that.
thank you.
You just did.
Yeah, yeah, I like him. I've talked to him on your chats before.
Awesome.
He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's got a Facebook page, and yeah, he's pretty into the esoteric, and he's like you and I when we hear things that line up with our you know things that we've discovered. And I got to say right here right now, I've never met anybody that is so into God and Bible and into what we're talking about, like the astral. And I
Yeah,
commend you for that, because the mixture of that is probably what reality and what we need to be, and not just set on one, you know, dogmatic
well,
principle
yeah,
of.
and that's the thing. A lot of people in the truth movement, they dismiss the Bible, but I think the Bible is it's just interpreted wrong.
Hmm.
If you look at it, with
spiritual eyes, it
Hmm.
takes a whole different meaning.
Yes, and I get how a lot of people say that it's a control and it's the
Yeah, it
religion is
is because it's
yes.
like the dual nature of it. And I am not into religion. I went to church when I was a teenager, and it was the nastiest people I have ever met in my life.
Ain't that the
I mean,
truth?
I hung out with gangsters and drug addicts, and you know, and I would go to church and I would come home crying because they were so freaking mean.
That's so funny. Wow. I don't want to end this, but it's been a long. We've been on here for a
Yeah,
while,
it's
so
almost 1 o'clock. That was a good
yeah,
show.
wow. And you know what? That means that it was clicking, and it's pretty
Hmm.
cool to have a great conversation. And
Yeah.
I think that's what we're here for, and that's what everybody's here for. But hey, we're gonna do this again, okay?
All right. Okay. Talk to you
Thank you,
later.
sweetheart. Thank you
Bye.
very much.
Thank you.
You're much appreciated.
You too.
Bye bye.